Ukraine has long been a guarantor of global food security, but since the beginning of a full-scale war against Ukraine, Russia first of all has blocked Ukrainian ports, and it blocked the export of Ukrainian agricultural products to countries for which Ukraine was a key food supplier. At a UN meeting on August the 5th, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken once again called on the Kremlin to stop using the Black Sea for blackmail and food security as a tool of influence. The Kremlin's criminal policy became a key topic at the UN General Assembly.
The brutality of those actions has caused unfathomable suffering for the people of Ukraine. And as I stand on this most global of stages, I'm deeply conscious of the wider suffering it has caused, increasing global food, energy and economic security, particularly in the global south. Russia's inexplicable decision last month to collapse the Black Sea Grain Initiative has only made this bad situation worse.
The Black Sea Grain Initiative for the safe transportation of grain and food from Ukrainian ports began operating in July 2022 after the signing of a corresponding agreement on the organization of a safe sea corridor for agricultural cargo from Ukraine. In his speech at the G20 summit in November 2022, Volodymyr Zelensky named 10 points of the Ukraine's peace formula. The second point is food security.
Thanks to the powerful participation of the UN, Turkey and other partners, we have shown how collaboration of a few can restore food security to many. I believe that our grain export initiative deserves to be continued indefinitely, regardless of when the war ends. The right to food is a fundamental right of every person in the world.
Since the start of the grain corridor, Ukraine has sent millions of tons of agricultural products to African countries, including hundreds of thousands of tons within the framework of UN food humanitarian programs and the Grain from Ukraine initiative. But on July the 18th, 2023, Russia withdrew from the grain agreement, and it began massive shelling of Ukrainian granaries and port infrastructure.
With its special responsibility as a permanent member of the Security Council, Russia mocks the United Nations every day. It continues its illegal and immoral invasion of Ukraine. Just as Russia mocks the international community with its cynical games on food security that leave millions hungry, promising grain to vulnerable nations, yet at the same time destroying Ukrainian grain silos along the Black Sea coast.
Russia's failure of the grain agreement has led to rising food prices around the world and reduced access to food for countries that need it.
I think it ought to be quite clear to everyone in the world right now that Russia is using food as a weapon of war, not just against the Ukrainian people, but against all the people in the world, especially the most underdeveloped countries who depend on grain from the region.
President Zelensky's peace formula was supported by more than 140 states and international organizations. Ukraine and its partners are confident that the implementation of this plan can become the basis for ending many wars and armed conflicts.
Let Russian terrorists not even hope that they will be able to provoke a global food crisis or create another price catastrophe. Ukrainian exports are a key factor in the stability of food markets, and we work with all our partners, both in the region and in the world, to ensure food security. The fate of millions of people in Africa, Asia and other parts of the world depends on how quickly the world will implement the peace formula.
Ukraine announced the operation of a temporary sea corridor. The second ship with Ukrainian agricultural products has already left the port of Chornomorsk. It's transporting more than 17,500 tons of Ukrainian wheat to Egypt. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Natalia Husak, UATV News.